Welcome back, Wreckwatchers. We are here at Wreckwatch TV, and we have some very cool stuff. Continuing on with our Pirates Festival. Sean, what do you have for us today?
So we've done some stories already about pirates, but one thing we haven't looked at is the obvious, right? Pirates talk in a very specific way with a unique accent. I mean, there's even a talk like a pirate day, and we all do it, right?
We do. Every time I impersonate a pirate, I make my face go like this, and I say all kinds of things like shiver me timbers and, aarr matey, and I pretend I have a parrot on my shoulder.
Well, that sounds like an awful lot of cliches, but the question is, and that's what we're doing today, is which bit of it is true and which isn't? And why do pirates say aarr on the big screen? I mean, have they got a problem with their foot, or, they got earache or something? And which famous lines did pirates really speak? So today we're going to play a little game of Who Said That? And all you, the viewers, have got to do is figure out if it's real or fake. Easy, right? So let's start with a little elocution, shall we? Did pirates really say aarr into it like this? Well, yes and no. At least for we modern audience, it all started, right, with the blockbuster movie released in 1952, Blackbeard the Pirate, when all things pirate went nuts in the 1950s.
What be your name, gal?
Blackbeard.
No, I be Blackbeard.
In this film, the lead star, Robert Newton, based his voice on the actual dialect of his native West Country in southwest England, that place where Long John Silver hailed from in the novel Treasure Island, and the aarr was born. And to be fair, actually, most of those big hitting sea dogs and their families came from the West Country in England too. Think of Henry Avery, the Pirate King, all the way to William Condon, aka Billy One Hand. Yeah, one of his hands was actually shot off in a skirmish. Careless Billy, right? Okay, so that's where the aarr came from, but let's move on to the main game. Who said that? And we'll start with an easy one. Over to you, Chris.
Why, thank you, Sean. This is a fun one, and it's something that I find that I use in my regular daily speech.
I mean, do you really? Do you really?
Well,
do you go, what is in the oven today, my lovely? Shiver me timbers, it's burnt lamb again. No, I mean...
Shiver me timbers. Was that real or fake?
What do the viewers think?
Fake. So if you guessed that was real, you were wrong. Sorry about that. It was actually introduced by Robert Louis Stevenson in his novel Treasure Island. It's not spouted by a real historic pirate, but it is rooted in the true nautical speak. Today we use it to show shock or surprise, but it comes from times of heavy seas when a ship's wooden hull's timbers used to rock and roll and shake, making sailors shiver with fear of wreck and drowning.
So guys, shiver me timbers, just sitting there to be used in everyday speak. Next up, we've got this quote. Guys, is this true or fake? Let's jump on board and cut 'em to pieces. What do you think, guys? Let's jump on board and cut 'em to pieces. Well, that is actually true. So that was actually spouted by Edward Thatch the Pirate, better known to you guys as Blackbeard, and it appeared first in the General History of the Pirates, published in 1724 by one Captain Charles Johnson. The background to when he said it was Blackbeard had been hunted down by the English Navy's Lieutenant Robert Maynard on HMS Pearl and Court. Off Ocracoke Inlet in North Carolina, it was time to pay the piper. Blackbeard fought like a madman, but was killed on November the 2nd, 1718. Maynard hung the pirate's head on his frigate's bow, so everyone would see it when he made port at Bartow Country in Beaufort County, North Carolina. But the actual book itself, the General History of Pirates, where let's jump on board and come to pieces, which Blackbeard stupidly said before the skirmish and the battle began, it's got its own mystery because the guy who wrote it, Captain Charles Johnson, he never existed. There is no one by that name. So what is going on? Well, this book, General History of the Pirates, has been in print continuously for 3 centuries. It's never gone out of print. And it was the world's first pirate blockbuster. And each chapter is on one of these guys, on Henry Avery, on Mary Read, and Bonny. And it introduced the sea dogs, the rogues, to the world as really this incredible blockbuster. But who done it? Who wrote it? We don't know. Some people say it was Daniel Defoe. Others say it was the publisher in London, Nathaniel Mist, who certainly his name appears as the guy who copyrighted the book, but that doesn't mean he wrote it. Actually, if you look at it, it's so complicated and it's got so much detail and facts in it that my own cunning little theory is that it was written by a whole team of people. But, you know, a lot of people get very upset by that. So that is Let's Jump on Board and Cut Them to Pieces, which really was said. Chris, over to you.
Wow, that is fascinating, and that's another pirate mystery that maybe one day someone will solve. So here's another saying that we think of belonging to pirates. I'm dishonest, and a dishonest man you can always trust to be dishonest. Was that real or fake? Is that something pirates actually said?
It's a bit of a tongue twister. Whoever said it must have had an awful lot of grog and rum inside them at that time, I reckon.
Fake. You're pretty accurate with that pirate being filled with rum when he said it. You would know this from, of course, Captain Jack Sparrow in the Pirates of the Caribbean: The Curse of the Black Pearl, that was released in 2003.
It turns out you're a hard man to predict.
Me, I'm dishonest. And a dishonest man you can always trust to be dishonest. Honestly.
So it's a very cool saying, and I think maybe there's some truth to it. I'm not sure, but Johnny Depp did a great job delivering that line. But no, it's not a real pirate phrase.
And a great piece of literature, that film. I mean, just high art at its very best, obviously. Right, Chris, this is a very short phrase, but a very long story. Who said, guys, dead men tell no tales? This is probably one of the most famous, I mean, got it on my t-shirt right here.
Do, yes.
I do. There we go. Other t-shirts are available, but you know, this is incredibly famous, and people always do assume that this was written by a pirate, but was it? Dead men tell no tales. And the truth is, it was not. This was the name of a 2017 movie, again in the Pirates of the Caribbean series, Dead Men Tell No Tales. But it actually, as we understand it today, originated in Jamaica Inn, the novel by Daphne du Maurier, published in 1936. We're going back a bit here, guys. And this book, which is a brilliant read, is very atmospheric. It's set in Cornwall in southern England around 1815. And it was inspired by du Maurier's real-life stay in an inn with the same name in 1930. Du Maurier had got lost on a horse with a friend while exploring the desolate moors. I mean, as you do, right? And eventually found sanctuary in the Jamaica Inn coaching stop. And her imagination ran riot, and the rest is history. And guess what, Chris? The real Jamaica Inn pub still stands on the middle of Bodmin Moor today. So fancy a pint, anyone? So guys, the plot follows Mary Yellen, who moves into Jamaica Inn run by her Aunt Patience and Uncle Joss after the death of her mother. She quickly learns that this is no sleepy holiday spot, as dodgy characters come and go by night. They're wreckers who strip ships in trouble and use Jamaica Inn as a smuggler's storage base. The novel got even more famous, as did the quote, when Alfred Hitchcock turned it into a film in 1939. This is actually how that quote was used in a very rich passage of the book. And it was said by Joss Merlin, Mary's uncle, and the head of the smuggling ring at Jamaica Inn, so it turns out. And this is what he says. When I'm drunk, I see them in my dreams. I see their white-green faces staring at me, with their eyes eaten by fish. And some of them are torn, with the flesh hanging on their bones in ribbons. And some of them have seaweed in their hair. Have you ever seen flies caught in a jar of treacle? I've seen men like that, stuck in the rigging like a swarm of flies. Just like flies they are, spread out on the yards, little black dots of men. I've seen the ship break up beneath them, and the masts and the yards snap like thread. And there they'll be, flung into the sea to swim for their lives. But when they reach the shore, they're dead men, Mary. He wiped his mouth on the back of his hand and stared at her. Dead men tell no tales, Mary, he said. Actually, this phrase is much older than that. The line was said by the English poet John Dryden in his comedy play The Spanish Friar, or The Double Discovery, published in 1681. But it's even older than that, going all the way back to the Roman times and the Latin phrase mortui non mordem. I bet you didn't know that.
I did not know that. That is fascinating stuff. Very, very fun. I'm enjoying this, Sean. This is great, and I think our viewers are out there. So all of our viewers, if you're watching and you're enjoying this, please give us a like, hit that thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. And I'm just going to pause for a moment and before I get into our next phrase, and we want to shout out to all of our members out there, and we have a few. Mike Massaro from the Trilogy Dive Center, he joined up a little while ago, and Mike, of course, received his Wreckwatch hat by becoming a subscriber at the captain's table. And also we have Dean and Heather Simon, who have also joined and become subscribers right here on Wreckwatch TV. And your subscriptions, when you become a subscriber, really help this channel and keep things going. And you get cool things like hats, shirts, and you get to see this video and others before the general public does. So make sure, if you haven't joined already, make sure you join. And now our next phrase, a merry life and a short one shall be my motto. That is a good one.
Arrr.
And that one is true. That phrase, a merry life and a short one shall be my motto, was said by pirate Bartholomew Roberts, also known as John Roberts of Wales, Black Bart. And no, his voice didn't sound like aarr, but he did have a very cool Welsh accent. The model pirate ripped up the waves wearing fancy crimson waistcoats and a gold chain around his neck. I've seen a few rock stars that kind of dressed like that.
Well, pirates were the early rock stars, weren't they? Think about it.
That's true. They were. They wore what they wanted, and they didn't subscribe to the norms of society, right?
And I read that they actually stayed out past 10:30 at night, Chris.
Now, did they trash their hotel rooms and throw fits?
Yeah, they did. They threw their televisions out the windows in 1695.
That's
true.
I mean, original rock stars. A sea shanty was the origins of rock and roll, which sea shanties, we'll be doing that in some upcoming video, I'm sure. It was Roberts who was especially known for his pirate code, a democratic rule that saw every crew member get a fair vote in the running of the ship, decisions, and an equal take of the booty. Black Bart, who plundered over 400 ships, so it's said, was the most successful pirate of them all. His world came crashing down in 1722 when a Royal Navy ship attacked him off Cape Lopez in West Africa. Roberts and his crew were too drunk to put up a fight, and Black Bart was downed by cannon fire. So, Sean, the party was over for the larger-than-life pirate who lived by the sword and died by the sword.
He does. He sounds like a really complex, interesting character. Not one of these kind of one-dimensional psychopaths, but someone who, he wanted his money and he wanted his booty, but he'd play fair. Somebody to, have a good intellectual discussion with in a tavern, I think.
Okay, so that was Bartholomew Roberts, and now our next phrase, the pirate. He will sink you with a kiss. He'll steal your heart and sail away. What do you think, Sean? Real or fake?
I think that sounds really beautiful and romantic. I'm just not sure that I'm seeing a pirate who took the time to sit down and compose lines like that. But you tell us, Chris.
Well, as you know, Sean, that is fake. That is actually a line from Joni Mitchell's The Pirate of Penance, and which is a clever play on words from The Pirates of Penzance. A great play, by the way. The comic opera written by Gilbert and Sullivan. Take it away, boys.
I am a pirate king, and it is a glorious thing to be a pirate king. For I am a pirate king. You are a pirate king. And it is a glorious thing to be a pirate king. It is hurrah for the pirate king. Hurrah for the pirate.
So, keeping with girl power, Chris, here's the next one. I'm sorry to see you here, but if you'd fought like a man, you needn't behave like a dog. Oh, I'm hearing tumbleweed. So that was actually immortal words uttered by one pirate, Anne Bonny. There's quite a lot of books written about female pirates, Anne Bonny, Mary Read, but quite frankly, to be honest, there weren't that many of them that we know of, because you really couldn't get away with dressing too much like a man on a pirate ship, and of course women weren't allowed for obvious reasons that men can't be trusted. And Anne Bonny and Mary Read, they were only pirates for about a year, but their legends are just huge. Anne Bonny was this massive character in the Netflix series Black Sails and just really great fun. But the true context of this is it's late October 1720 and Calico Jack Raccoon and his crew have been having lots of success plundering the Caribbean. But one night when they were drunk as skunks, they were too high to fight off the governor of Jamaica's ship, and it was a big mistake. Jack gave in. But Anne Bonny and Mary Read fought on, facing the governor's men alone, firing their pistols, swirling their cutlasses. And Mary was so angry that she shouted down at the hatch to the pirate men, "If there's a man among ye, you'll come up and fight like the man you are to be." But not one of those hairy-chested partners came to their help, so she fired a gun into the hold, killing one of the cowards. So then you fast forward to the 18th of November, 1720, and Calico Jack, Mary, and Anne are about to be hanged by a court in St. Jago de la Vega in Jamaica, Old Town. And that's when Anne spoke those immortal words. "I'm sorry to see you here, but you fought like a man, you numbskull. You need to be hanged like a dog." She didn't say numbskull, I'm just paraphrasing. I don't think she was very happy. And then at the 11th hour, Anne and Mary actually got a stay of execution. They weren't hanged because, as Lady Luck would have it, they were both quick with child. They were pregnant. So we don't know what happened to them, but they got away. Now, there's also a theory, actually, that the reason why Anne wasn't hanged is she came from high society. She came from plantation stock. And for the judge, it was a case of, all right, Anne, you've had your fun now. Why don't you go back and just have the quiet life? So, and I imagine she didn't do that, and she was a hellraiser for the rest of her life. But that slipped out of the pages of history.
That is fascinating. Anne Bonny, women pirates. There's so much history to tell.
What a girl. What a girl.
Well, and that brings us to our next pirate phrase.
Actually, I've changed my mind here, Chris. I think I'd rather go and hang out with Anne Bonny and Mary Read than with Bartholomew Roberts. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, you know what? I agree with you.
And talking about great people to hang out with, what about the next quote?
Well, this next quote is a fascinating one. "I've been a puppet, a pauper, a pirate, a poet, a pawn, and a king." That's got a little bit of a groove to it, doesn't it?
It's got a swing. It's got a swing.
So what do our viewers think? Was that real or fake? Was that said by a pirate or someone else? And the answer is it's fake. That is not a real pirate phrase, but it is a line from the song from Old Blue Eyes himself, Frank Sinatra, and that song is "That's Life" of 1966.
I've been a puppet, a pauper, a pirate, a poet, a pawn, and a king.
I mean, I can't really imagine a pirate managing to get that out. There's a lot of peas there, and they've had a bit of rum. I've been a puppet, a pauper, pirate, a poet, a pawn. Shut up.
Yeah.
It's quite, there's a lot of peas in that.
If a pirate actually said it, you wouldn't want to be standing too close to him because it'd be a spray, a puppet, a pirate, a pupper.
You would. You get a shower, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you would. You'd be showered. Yep. And
if there's any pirates out there and they can say that in a sober way, we'll send you a hat.
Yeah, and
so send us the social media your best rendition of I've been a puppet, a pauper, a pirate, a poet, a pawn, and a king, and whoever we think is the best, we'll send you a hat. There we go.
You'll get this hat right there. So
not that one. That one's. Have you washed that hat recently?
Actually, this is brand new. This hasn't been worn.
What is it?
This is waiting for whoever wins. And now we move on to another really fun one that I think is maybe more commonly known than the last couple that we've done. But 15 men on the dead man's chest, yo-ho-ho, and a bottle of rum.
Everybody knows that, right? Everyone's heard that at least. But what does it mean? Where does it come from? Is it real? Is it fake, Chris?
Well, and drum roll, please. That is fake. Another line from the novel Treasure Island, published in 1883 by Robert Louis Stevenson, and it's probably one of the most famous pirate books ever written. Which it's a great book. There's been some movies. I know of at least one movie that's been based on it. I remember watching it as a kid in public school, being fascinated. Maybe that's where my fascination with pirates and shipwrecks started. All the way
and heavy metal music.
And heavy, well, of course, yes, and pirate metal. There's pirate metal.
That's a thing.
It is a thing. Yeah. This pirate song meaning has long baffled readers. Stevenson himself never gave an explanation, but maybe, just maybe, the truth is this. Dead Man's Chest is part of the British Virgin Islands. So the story goes, in the early 1700s, Edward Thatch, Blackbeard, punished a mutinous crew by marooning them on Dead Man's Chest, an island 250 yards square surrounded by high cliffs and without water. The island had no food, just pelicans, lizards, annoying mosquitoes, and snakes. Why does it always have to be the snakes, Sean? Each of the mutineers was given a cutlass and a bottle of rum. Blackbeard hoped they'd kill each other, but when he returned at the end of 30 days, 15 men had survived on Dead Man's Chest with a bottle of rum.
Now, I think that's fascinating, but I don't completely buy it for many reasons. I mean, Dead Man's Chest, that kind of sounds like a modern tourist name, like a sort of, treasure island made up by Disney. I mean, there is a Dead Man's Chest in the British Virgin Islands. There's all kinds of pirate-related things there. And a lot of people don't know that the US Virgin Islands and Thomas Islands was one of the biggest pirate lairs before Nassau and New Providence became the big one, the Pirates Republic. And, there was a guy called Jean Hamelin, a French guy who took a ship called the Trompeuse, and he ran riot in the Caribbean all the way to West Africa and did really well. And the governors on St. Thomas, who were Danish, it was a Danish colony, they just hid them and took money and sold their goods. So yeah, there were a lot of pirates, and all the big guys, Henry Avery, Captain Kidd was even said to have hidden treasure somewhere around the Virgin Islands. But this actual story, why it doesn't sound true to me, is not the name of the island, Dead Man's Chest. Because Blackbeard wasn't really the meany, nasty piece of work that people made him out to do. That was all theatre, it was stage, the idea that he had 14 wives and lit smoke and fire under his beard to look like the devil and scare the enemy before he'd even raided them. Like, oh cripes, it's Blackbeard, I'm going to go into the hold, mother! So I'm not really sure about it. That is one version of where it came from. 15 men on a dead man's chest, and a bottle of rum, but I'm not sure. And I would love to hear from you guys, the viewers, what you think. And if everyone has a better theory or has read something or can put us in the right knowledge, or if anyone can tell us what they think the truth is, just drop us a line.
Yeah, pirates really did seem to master the whole propaganda machine, didn't they? If you could put fear into your enemy's heart before you ever encountered them, that gave you the upper hand.
Yeah, and if you think about it, I mean, it's not just opportunistic stuff. They weren't just drunk nutters. Some of them were drunk nutters, Charles Bain and Ned Lowe. But you had to be really good strategic. You had to make good decisions. You had to have discipline and timing. You had to have intelligence, know the movement of fleets, etc. So yeah, interesting.
If you were going to be a successful pirate, you had to take this seriously. You had to discipline yourself and your crew, and otherwise you wouldn't survive.
And even the good ones didn't survive.
Yes.
So many of them were hanged. It was a hard profession to get into, Chris. So now we are coming to our last one, folks. Yeah, I'm really sorry. It's been great fun, but we're really busy and we got to go. So the problem is not the problem. The problem is your attitude about the problem. You understand? So, I mean, who said that? What do we think?
It does sound like a famous pirate. I can picture it. I feel like I can hear the very words.
He's probably the most famous pirate in world history, thanks to Disney's $4.5 billion franchise, introducing Jack Sparrow. Yeah, that's Jack Sparrow. The problem is not the problem. The problem is your attitude about the problem. Do you understand? Brackets. He doesn't understand what he's even said. Now, Chris,
Yes.
This actually first appeared as a meme online on the web, and it was shared millions of times. And then it was turned into posters and t-shirts and appeared on mugs, and then it ended up on bumper stickers, for goodness sakes. It's been shared across the world by different cultures and in so many different languages. But it's entirely fake. It never was actually said by a pirate or by an actor pirate, Jack Sparrow. The line was never in any of those scripts. Jack Sparrow never said it in the movies. And it's not even clear when this meme first appeared. But it's so common now that its origins have probably been simply lost in the folklore of the internet. So, that's a really interesting one, that it's not one that's just been made up in contemporary culture or film and music, but now we're into pirates on the internet creating their own mythology, and I find that really interesting because of that reason.
Sean, that was a lot of fun and really fascinating. I'm learning so much about pirates every time we get together and as we do this Pirates Festival. So if you haven't subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you like this video, hit the like button, hit that notifications bell, and why not check out our store and also join, like our members Michael, Heather, Dean, and others who are helping us us keep this channel going with their subscriptions. So, Sean, we have a lot of very cool stuff coming up. I'm not sure how much we can say about what's coming up, but people should definitely keep watch, shouldn't they?
Bunch of fascinating stuff coming up, guys, both about the Pirates Festival and these sea dogs and more mayhem and chaos. We've got some other stories coming up as well, so watch this space. It's going to be fun.
That's right. So thank you, Sean. Thank you to all of you out there watching. And remember, deep down, we care.